Hi there. Welcome to the first ForceZ Talks episode. This is episode 1 entitled Day 1. This is the first time I've ever done something like this, so I'm pretty hyped about it actually. Because I can only learn from this point, you know? This is literally, as I'm titling it, Day 1. So let's begin. Who am I? Well, my name is Josh. I am 26 years old. I am just married to my beautiful wife, who we married last year. And we are now living together and have known each other for 7 years now. I currently work a full-time job, mainly night shift work. And I thought to myself, I kind of want to make or create something new. If you ever look down into the bottom of my YouTube channel, you'll see I always manage to start an idea, but then I never finish it. Like, for example, I will make a series of something, and I'll get to maybe episode 3 or above, and then out of nowhere, I just drop it. I get a burnout from it. I pretty much end up saying to myself, yep, this is not worth it anymore, and I lose interest in it. And that's something that kind of really annoys me. You know, I get annoyed at the fact that I do that. So what I wanted to do was just kind of change things around a bit. So a few weeks ago, I was on my honeymoon. We went to Costa Rica, and what I like to do a lot when I go on a holiday is I like to buy a book. And usually I will end up trying to read the book during the holiday. I kind of set that as like a goal for myself. But every time I've gone in the past with a book, it's usually been like a fiction book, like Blood and Fire by George R. R. Martin, for example. But this time I thought, you know what? I've been seeing a lot on TikTok, these books that you should read. And one of them was entitled Psychology of Money. And I finished the book, but it talks a lot about the idea of taking risks. And during that time, whilst on honeymoon, there was a moment with a waterfall. Right? I'm getting to a point somewhere, don't worry. So there was a giant waterfall, it's called the Nyauyakia waterfall. It is gigantic, and you go there basically with a group. And what you get the option to do there is you get to do a 9-meter high jump into the water, right? And the majority of the time people say no, right? And I'm kind of the same as well. I'm kind of the person who will also look at that kind of thing and go, nope, not doing it. But I just thought, you know what? I'm here. I've been reading a lot about things that just say the word take a risk. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do it. So they helped me climb up to the top. You have to have like a rope on your right arm and your left arm. They basically will grab you and they pull you up. It takes about 5 minutes. And then you get to the top and you really look down at this moment and go, whoa, okay. This is high. Like, for someone who's never done something like this before, yeah, this is pretty damn high. And I had two options that moment. I can either jump or I can say, nope, not doing this, and slowly climb back down. But I thought, you know what? We're going for it. We're taking the risk. So I jumped. And once I hit the water and I got up, I looked around and there's about 100 people all sat at this waterfall taking pictures, watching you as well doing this. And I really thought to myself, you know what? Those 100 people out there, they're exactly who I usually am. The type of people that don't actually, well, they want to do it, but they don't, right? Either because they're afraid of what other people think, or they worry about it too much. And this time, I was actually the one who was on the other side of this coin, let's say. And that's when I really started thinking, like, on the way back towards the hotel, I really started thinking, you know what? Let's take more risks, okay? And let's try and have a commitment into something. And that's when I thought, you know what? I kind of want to start something like this. I want to start the idea of just talking to people, you know? And the beauty is right now, okay, is I've now learned something as well. When I used to make YouTube videos in the past, I was always terrified of what other people thought, right? I was terrified of the idea of, oh, what if I don't get enough views? Or what if I put in so much effort and dedication, I pay so much money for a thumbnail and then, oh, guess what? No one watches it, you know? That fear is kind of what created the burnout as well. Like, I was making, I don't know if you know the game, it's called Dead by Daylight. I was doing it with a friend. We both loved the idea. We really enjoyed it. But I think I got to episode 8 or something, and I just saw the results that, like, no one's interested. And due to the fact that no one else was interested, it was driving me to also not really be interested in it anymore. And that kind of sucked. So I'm going into this with a new mentality. The idea that I'm not doing this for anybody else, I'm doing this for me, right? I want to be able, in 5 years from now, when I'm 31 years old, to come back to this podcast, right? Maybe in 5 years from now, I've made 100 podcasts, you know? And I just come back to the very first one, and I listen to it, you know? I may think, whoa, what was I doing with the audio? Or why am I talking in this certain way? I just like the idea of seeing the progression and also the commitment, you know? So that's my goal right now, you know? I kind of want to end up with this idea of triumph. You know what I'm trying to say? Okay, let's continue. What am I wanting to talk about? I think genuinely anything. Anything that kind of pops into my mind that I want to portray to you guys, right? So, for example, I was talking to my friends about the idea of doing maybe 1 or 2 with them in the future as well, about the idea of the title Lost at Sea, where we're pretty much just going to go on and talk for ages about, you know, what's it going to be like? Like, what is the idea if you yourself was lost at sea on a boat? Just you, you know? What would you do? How would you figure out the solution to this? And that's exactly what I want. I want to hear other people's opinions as well. Because my idea of something may be completely different from someone else. Or they may go, you know, I may turn around and go, whoa, I didn't think about that. You know, I'm interested in what you have to say about it, right? So that's my idea as well. And when I do my own solo podcasts like this one, I think I might just get a certain word, like for example, inspiration, and I just talk around this word, you know? I may go completely off topic for 20 minutes, you know? But I don't care. I just like the idea of trying to talk because it's also going to help me a bit with my own vocabulary, with my own, communication, let's say. And during these podcasts, I'm starting to read more. You know, I've just finished a book called The Art of Laziness. Amazing book. You know, it's all about how to prevent yourself from procrastinating too much, you know, little life changes that you can do, which actually helps you move on forward, right? And I'm reading this book right now called Make Your Bed. And it's a book basically about dedication, you know? Like, what's the word? It'll come back to me. But it's about an army veteran, you know, in the Iraq War, and he basically just goes on to the idea of, you know, the discipline, that's the word. The discipline it takes to move forward, what you need to do, how you need to do it, and stories that happened to him that he learned, life stories. And that's also another thing I want to include. A few life experiences here and there, like the waterfall jump. Just stuff that I can explain to you guys and express that maybe, might help, you know? Okay, how do I want to talk in these podcasts? Well, here you go. Back when I was 18, 19, one of my best friends and I, we would always go out every Saturday night. And we would always go to one of the 3 available clubs in the town that we were. And we would always find ourselves in this smoking area, even though neither of us smoked, right? But the communication, like what we would end up doing, is we would end up there just chatting, right? Not a care in the world about who's around us. And it was deep conversations. It was about personal goals. It was about what was going on in our lives. It was about all these amazing things, you know? And we both helped each other, you know, both gave each other advice. We both just talked. And that is what I want these podcasts to sound like. That is how I want it to go. The idea of proper communication, but in a way that helps, you know, in a way that helps both you and me, you know? And I like the idea that I'm going in with this mentality of, I don't care about the results. in a year from now, if one person has listened to this, right, and no one else has, that's fine by me. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this to help improve myself as well, you know? Because when you watch a YouTube video online of people and it's like, this person who is a proper book author, or Warren Buffett going into the idea of investing, right? They know what they're talking about and they know how to talk about it. I'm the opposite. I am a random 26-year-old guy right now, okay? I'm still learning my place in this world, I'm wanting to take risks and try new things. And I want to see if it clicks or not. And I like the idea of being able to talk about these things in a safe space where, yeah, we'll see what happens. I like this idea right now. I'm currently in my room, and this is another thing as well with podcasts. I don't know if people write down a lot of notes beforehand. I haven't. I'm staring at my laptop screen right now, and I literally just have 5 words, right? Who, what, when, where, and why. That's it. And I'm just going to keep looking at them to ask myself questions out loud, Like, here's another one, okay? We'll go into the next one. Why podcasts? Like, why do I want to do this idea of talking, right? I think the simple answer is I just want to do something that's out of my comfort zone, Like, the beauty is right now, there's no pause button when you make a podcast, especially if you do a live one. That's it. It just keeps rolling. I like that idea as well, because there are going to be flaws and mistakes in maybe a word that I say, or, a certain topic I talk about, or I mix up my words and stuff. I mean, just then I paused for like 10 seconds. That can happen. I like that because you learn from it. This whole idea I'm trying to think about is just a safe space environment with a new challenge, a new risk, and I'm going to work on it, I'm going to progress. I like that idea a lot, okay? When am I going to be publishing these podcasts? I don't want to set myself too strict of a goal because I currently work full-time, right? I'm not receiving anything from this. This is more a hobby idea, okay? So if I keep it as simple as possible and say I want to do at least one podcast a month, right? That doesn't mean I'm going to be lazy with the mentality, oh, I still have another 26 days to publish one, I'm going to be fine. No, it's at least the minimum goal, right? Once a month. I like that idea of saying that, because if I end up making 8 in 1 month, I can go, wow, my original goal was 1, and I made 7 more than the actual goal itself. That's something that I can be happy about. And also, I want to be able to make these in a way that I'm happy about them. I don't want to rush and go, oh god, okay, what's going on in the world? Oil crisis due to the war. Okay, let's talk about that. No, I don't want to talk about that. I have no idea what to talk about in that scenario. Maybe if I was with a mate and we talked about it, we can both give our opinion on it. But no, I'm not interested in that. I'd rather talk about, space. How little we actually are in this world, That's my area that I'd like to go into, where I'm genuinely interested about. Yeah, that's just the way I kind of see it right now. And here's another question. How long do I want these podcasts to go on for? There is no strict time. One podcast could be 30 minutes long, okay? The next one could be an hour and a half. The next one could be 20 minutes. It doesn't matter. I'm not setting myself a strict goal on how long they need to be. I just like the idea of, I just keep talking. And I keep, expressing myself about it, yeah. That's a good idea. Let's think about something else then, shall we? Who am I going to include in these? Honestly, at this moment, just my friends. I might get different friends on this channel idea for different reasons, And I kind of like the idea of seeing the difference in the way I communicate. Like, right now, it's just me. So if I stop talking, there's no one else talking in the background, you know? There's no one to give me the space of, okay, whilst he's going on talking about something, I can now write down some interesting facts that I've just thought about. No, I like seeing the switch. Because right now, yeah, I'm just spitballing it as I talk. I like that idea. I didn't like spend an hour and a half prepping for this, writing a script down, and then doing it. You want to know why? Because I actually was afraid of the idea of a burnout just by doing that. I was genuinely afraid of the idea of, okay, wait a minute. If I then spend an hour and a half doing the script, I'm going to stress if the script is not good enough. And then I end up not doing it. I didn't want to do that. But when I'm with my mates, yeah, there's maybe a chance that I'll have like a few books in front of me with some good quotes and stuff, and I'll quote them. You know? I like that idea as well. Like, I went on before about what topics I want to talk about. Yeah, I like the idea of talking about like specific one-word topics like inspiration, commitment, relationships, you know? And I'll give my story or I'll give my experience with these different topics, right? For example, here's an interesting fact. Did you know that I have actually been making YouTube videos for over 15 years now? Yeah, because I made this channel about 10 years ago, but I also had another channel before this one, back when I was, I think 12, you know? 12, 11 years old is when I made my first channel. And yeah, it's crazy to think that. I actually think even older than that. And no one's ever heard of me. Maybe, I have like 200 subscribers right now. But yeah, I have been making videos for God knows how long, you know? And when I always made these videos, I tried to copy others. Like, for example, I did a trick shotting thing called 6-Man with ForceZ. And it was a fun thing to do, but I got the inspiration obviously from like FaZe Clan. If you don't know what trick shotting is, it's something in a game, right? And then I made some funny moments videos, and I tried to do those kind of things, inspiration from like the Vanos crew and stuff, because when you're a kid, you want to be them, When you're like a teenager and you're in school, you just think to yourself, oh, I'd rather be doing what they're doing, just making video game videos all day and making a load of money from it, And yeah, you go for it, but then you realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm only making 30 views right now. And it kind of terrifies you, and you think, wow, I guess I'm not good enough. No, it's not about that. It's about the fact that you are not where they are because you haven't put in the time and effort, Do you think that the Vanos crew, for example, do you think his first 9, 10 videos were insane hits? Probably not. Probably no one ever heard of him until ages later. And then, yes, you get those lucky few out there, like that Hawk girl, whatever her name is. Yeah, she made one video as like a response to a TikTok from someone else, and she became this insanely popular person. Speed, for example, that guy, he made a few videos. I think his most popular, the reason why he got known was that whole Cristiano Ronaldo response or something like that. And yeah, it happens, okay? Yes, the light can sometimes shine down on you, but if you solely focus on, oh my god, I want that to happen to me, like you're trying to win the lottery, it's never going to happen. You can spend and dump so much money into the lottery and may never win, right? And there's money gone, Like when I was making my first YouTube videos here with the insane thumbnails, okay? I spent, I think, 50 euros maybe on one thumbnail? Right? So, yeah, you may think to yourself, oh, that's nothing, right? But think about it. The amount of time I spent making the video, like recording it, the amount of time I spent editing the video, and then I also paid someone else, and also, the money that I had to pay for the Premiere Pro subscription, and, and it just all adds up, the amount of time and effort I spent on it to get next to nothing. And you know what the worst part is? I didn't even like the video myself. I literally rewatched it like for example, there was one I made, it was the Warzone video, okay? I love the thumbnail, don't get me wrong, but I rewatched the video just before I posted it, and I looked at it and I went, I'm not even enjoying it myself, but I still just clicked the publishing button. That's not a good idea to live by. If you want to make YouTube videos, okay, just do stuff that you genuinely put your heart into. Don't just publish it because you're like, oh, I've already put in so much effort, I might as well just do it. No. Yeah, I can say podcasting is a little bit different because you really are just recording a 1 hour thing and then you just post it, without actually thinking about it. Yeah, I guess you're right in that area. But the thing is I don't care about the results. I'm genuinely doing this for me. And throughout these podcasts that I'm going to try and do, right, I'm going to work around with them, like I may change the microphone, or I may change the setting of the mic, because I'm going to listen back to this in a bit and go, whoa, okay, the audio is incredibly loud or something. And then in the future, the ones that come after this, yeah, I'll change it a bit, like, is a good thing. What, like, actual research did I do before making this podcast? Genuinely, I watched 2 TikTok videos on tips, right? One of them was like, know what you're going to say. One of them was have a title. And, yeah, I mean, obviously you have the ones who are with the face cam and everything and the light up and everything. I don't want to do that right now. I just like the idea of making podcasts where there's no visual representation. It's more, you can put this in your pocket and listen whilst you do something else, right? So let's say you go for your morning walk or something, or you're on your way to the gym, or you're on your way to school, or you're on your way, or you're doing a task around the house or something, or you're even gaming. You can just put this on in the background and just listen if you want to. That's the idea. I'm not going to do those stupid ones like, oh, I'm doing an insane podcast with Jake Paul and we're going to talk about random nonsense. No, I don't care about that. I just want to do this for me and hopefully for the listeners who are actually wanting to listen. Like, there's a good question. Who am I targeting when I make these? I'm targeting the people who genuinely want to listen. And I don't care about the age, If you're 12 years old at high school right now, like you've just started high school, and you want, some inspiration or help on understanding it, or you are the same as me, 26 years old, you have to change your career because you're not having fun with what you studied at university, and now you're a bit afraid that you're too late, or even you're 40 years old, you're addicted to gaming, you weigh the weight of a truck and you're thinking, okay, this is the turning leaf, how do I do this? It's for all these type of people who genuinely just want to listen and want to get maybe a little bit of inspiration, who are maybe too afraid to read a book or something, right? Just enjoy it, Enjoy the ride with me if you want to listen. Have fun whilst doing it. And you know what? If is anybody who actually listens to these, leave down in the comments, like, a genuine topic you'd like me to maybe discuss, if you would need help with that, And I'll do my best. I'm not a professional. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm just a regular guy who just also wants to talk. I like talking. I like to call myself sometimes an introvert, ironically, because when I'm doing social events, like at a party or something with my wife, or I'm at work and my colleagues all want to talk to me or something, I end up like my social battery just dies, right? When I'm gaming, it's a bit different because I'm in my own little safe zone. I'm just enjoying the vibe, and I can either talk if I want to, or just kind of be the guy who's quiet in the back. Sorry. But here, this is like me trying to get out of my comfort zone. I'm also having to think right now with what I want to say and how I want to say it. And I think the further that we go in these ideas of podcasts, the easier, let's say, it's going to be for me to develop what I want to say and how I want to say it. Like, I titled this one Day 1 because it is literally the first day I'm ever doing something like this. Like, I think it was Dwayne Johnson who said the idea of there are 2 options. There's one day or day 1. And one day is the idea of you keep saying to yourself, oh, tomorrow I'll do it. The day after I'll do it. Maybe next week, January 1st I'll start doing this kind of thing, Or there's actually the day 1. Like right now I have a cold. You can hear it. Like I am trying my best not to cough this entire time. And I could say to myself, oh, I have a cold. Why don't I just wait like until I'm better and then, do it then. But then, day 1 never comes, Like, that's the goal right now. The goal is just to push forward, take the risk. I like this motivation. And I hope that I can stick to my word this time. That is the main idea, Because, like, for example, right, Mondays, my wife works in her office, okay? It's just me at the house, and I usually take Mondays off of work, right? Because of the position I work at, I can take Mondays off instead. And I just like being at home alone with my 2 cats, and this gives me so much freedom. Usually, what I would do on a Monday is I would just sit here from 9 until 4 in the morning and just game, you know? It was fun, don't get me wrong, it was easy. But then, I didn't go to the gym that day, I didn't get anything around the house done, I didn't learn anything new. But this Monday, right, what did I do today? I woke up this morning, I hoovered the house, okay? I ate, I read 20 pages of my book that I'm reading, Make Your Bed. And now I've sat here and I've started doing a podcast, and it's not even 11 in the morning for me right now making this video. I still have the entire day, and I've already done so much in my opinion. I like that. I'm really enjoying this vibe I'm in right now. So yeah, once again, my name is Josh. Welcome to ForceZ Talks. I am super excited to do this. I hope I get some people who listen, and if I don't, like I said, I'm in the I am doing this for me mentality, okay? I'm happy about what I am doing. If I think it's cringe in a week from now, having my friend read some of the lines that I said, okay, then he makes fun of it, but I just, like I said, I give the mentality of I am doing this for me, So I hope you guys, if you listened, enjoyed this introduction to who I am and what I want to do. And yeah, expect more of these to come. I will do some just by myself as a solo podcast, but I also, like I said, want to do some with a few friends. And let's just enjoy the ride. Let's see where this goes and how it ends up. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope, if you liked it, give a like, comment, If you say in the comment section, hey, why don't you try doing this or this, at the beginning or ending of your video? Do that. I want to listen, but like I said, okay, I'm doing this for me. So thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.